Released in 1971, right in the height of that satanic panic that really hit in the 70s, is the Brotherhood of Satan from Arrow Video. I was a little bit trepidatious about this one, ultimately nudged into checking it out by a friend, and this was one that I really enjoyed. It was a hard one to really mull over in my head. Watching it, there's some moments where I couldn't quite grasp exactly what was happening. Some head-scratching moments of, what does that mean? But ultimately there was this sense of futility, of destruction, of paranoia that really kind of won me over. As we join the movie, we meet a family who are driving cross country. They get in an accident when they almost run over a little girl who seems to vanish from nowhere, and they end up in this town that seems to be on the brink of something. There is something going on that is terrifying these people, that are making them act unruly, just make them generally terrified. We discover throughout it that kids are going missing. They're just seemingly vanishing and disappearing and never being seen again. And then we get this very strong representation of a cult, the Brotherhood of Satan. These group of people who seemingly, throughout the movie, it becomes clear that they meet every number of years to rejuvenate themselves. They seem to be immortal, but to do so, they have to inhabit a new body, hence the children that are being stolen. And you get these wonderful scenes of the cult, their kind of fraternity, that constant fear that you find even being part of them. You know they can turn at any moment, as we see happen at one point, as someone is literally ripped apart, who has broken any kind of laws that they had. And we have this family, along with some patrons of the town, just trying to figure out what the hell is going on. This is something that's been thrust upon them, something that they can't rationalise in this one, and something that I had moments of just not knowing what was going on at all. There is a scene at the start which is really well done. It's effective, where a car is crushed by a tank. Now, obviously they didn't have the budget to do this, so you never see the tank. You get the idea of it crushing this family in a car, and then you kind of see a little boy walking away with a remote control tank, and there's the idea of, was that tank, did it somehow grow in size and crush this car and then shrink back down to size, and these vanishing kids that happen. So there's very much a strong element of supernatural abilities within this movie, whereas in most Satanic Panic it's just humans doing their kind of thing, and there's not really a sense of otherworldly supernatural gifts. In this movie there most definitely is black magic and magic in general. Horrible, weird, unusual, supernatural things do happen, and sometimes they happen to wonderful effect. There is a moment where a father nods off and his son is kind of drawn out in a trance, and he goes chasing after them, only to find himself at the wrong end of a broadsword from a medieval knight who strangely appears. But it's set up terrifically well. It's filmed in such a nice manner that builds the anticipation, that builds the threat and gives you the payoff at the end of it as well. This movie does it really well. Brotherhood of Satan was one of those ones that I wanted to think about. I needed to think about to get my head around everything that happened, to deal with that ending and how it kind of places this world and everybody within it, which I kind of liked. Now that I've thought about it, you know, as Satanic Panic movies goes, I liked this one. I liked the fact that it wasn't a whole town or that kind of feeling. It was a group of people, a group of Satanists who had infiltrated this area and made it their own, and everybody was confused and panicked and worried about it. They weren't part of the problem. They were stuck in a kind of purgatory between this battle of good and evil, and it plays out really well. I liked that fact where they were acting differently, but they didn't understand why. They just knew something was wrong within their small town, which I kind of like as well. Brotherhood of Satan was interesting, really interesting. Like I said, some moments of head scratching that ultimately cleared itself up later on. Some really fun, playful moments of horror, of terror, where they play with anticipation towards a sequence really well, and mostly they pay off terrifically well. It has an ending that is most definitely an interesting direction to go, one that I've grown to really appreciate, and one that I will not spoil for you guys here. I would suggest checking this out if you like the Satanic Panic movies of the 70s, because I think it's one that fits in there and is in the sort of higher rankings of that tiered list. As always, there's more content up here that you can check of mine, and if you think I deserve it, hit this video with a like, maybe even subscribe, possibly share the video if you think it deserves to be shared. And if you want to give me some extra support, you can join the membership program and get access to exclusive content, or join me on Patreon. It's all welcome. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.